Hey guys, welcome to APTV, the Apostle Paul's television channel. It's episode number 1, and I thank you for joining me. My name's Breck, and I want to share a little journey with you. But first of all, I want to ask you a question. Would you call yourself a Christian? Are you involved in Christianity? Well, I used to be for quite a long time. And I want to ask you if you're tormented in your mind when you make decisions. What I mean by that is, are you tormented in every decision, thinking about whether God's going to be mad at you in regards to the decision you make? And do you feel this overwhelming torment in your mind about every decision having to be perfect because that's what you believe God expects of you, and that's the expectation, the burden that Christianity has put on you? I want you to think about that. Do you struggle with making decisions? Do you feel tormented by a heavy burden and expectation from Christianity on the way that you behave and the way that you act, and that it has to be perfect? Otherwise, God's mad at you. So I want you to think about that for a second. Those are some terrible things that I went through when I was in Christianity. And I want to share with you the amazing gift of God's grace that the Apostle Paul was given to preach. And it has just transformed so many lives. And it really just removes, like a detoxifier, removes the toxins, the deep toxins inside of us of the law and the burden of rules and regulations that Christianity has instilled inside of us. And I want to share a little bit about the Apostle Paul. So he started off as Saul of Tarsus. And listen to this. You may or may not know this, but Saul was killing those in the church. He was killing those. You would call them Christians, and he was killing them. And he tormented them. And he went in and went in their homes and brought them out and had them beaten and assassinated. And he was a murderer, and he was murdering those in the church. And the interesting thing, the amazing thing is, now think about this in the connection of God's grace. So God comes along and he says, Paul, you're my man. And Paul wasn't trying to be reverent. He was actually irreverent. So hear that today. Paul was irreverent in that he was killing those in the church. He was a murderer. He was beating people up, pulling them out of their house, doing all these tormenting things. And God says, you're my man. Here's the gospel of grace, the gift of God, the power of God unto salvation. And he says, Paul, you're my man to preach it. So think about that in regards to Christianity and how they would shun somebody like the Apostle Paul, and that he had to be right in his behavior with God before they could ever give him a position of leadership or anything in the church. Think about that. And God said, Paul, in your irreverence, I choose you to preach the gospel of grace and peace. And so in Christianity expects you to be reverent. Make sure that you go to church every Sunday and Wednesday and read your Bible and be good. Make sure all your decisions are good. Otherwise, God's going to be mad at you. And I want to tell you that's the complete opposite of the message the Apostle Paul preaches and the gospel of God's gift of grace. The gospel of God's gift and grace. So I want to thank you for joining me this first episode. And I want to encourage you to come back, because the gospel of grace has been life-changing. It's transforming. It's freeing people and detoxifying people from the torment and the burden and the bondage of religion and Christianity. So hope to see you in the next episode as we move further and further into the Apostle Paul's message of grace.